Howdy everybody, it's Amy from Amy's Sparkly Diamond Painting. How are you doing? Well, I should say today diamond painting and cross stitch because this is going to be a cross stitch video. So if you're not interested in cross stitch, you might want to move along to another one. I'm just trying to collect a bunch of content that I can do while I am gone, coming up here in a couple days. So I've got a Gatorade here with me because this could be a longer video. Haven't done a longer video in a while, and I pre-recorded 2 product review packages that will be coming out in the next few days, and those are a little bit shorter, and I like to mix in other content in between them. So that's what this video is about. So this is cross stitch related, and part of it is about using 6 strands in your needle with half cross stitch to do a canvas a little bit faster, and the pluses and minuses and how to do it and what it looks like and all that, and some different ideas related to that. And then the second part is going to be an unbagging of several kits. I was going to do a whip parade, which I will still do maybe after I get back, but I want to decide what I'm bringing with me, and so I need to unbox a few things that I've had sitting around because one of them may likely be going on the trip with me, so I need to unbox them, and I thought, why not do it together? So I have my supplies here. If you saw my backstitch video, this is my little needle box that I made many years ago. It's single thread stitched there over 1 on linen, and this was part of a class I took from Maureen Appleton. All my needles and goodies in there. Well, not all my needles because I get so many now with these kits, and then a pair of scissors. But I wanted to talk about half cross stitch with 6 strands versus full cross stitch with 3 strands, say 11 count, in order to show you the pluses and minuses and the differences. So I worked on this bookmark here, and it was supposed to be a double-sided bookmark, which meant you had to stitch the same thing twice, basically. These were actually attached here, and I cut them apart, but you had to stitch the same design twice, and then you sew them back to back. So I thought, you know, this might be a good way to show the difference because I really didn't want to do the same thing a second time. I had started at the top on this one with full cross, and so the sky here is completed in full cross, but the rest is half cross with 6 strands, whereas this one is full cross everywhere with 3 strands. So these were 11 count, and I think the reason I liked this particular design was because I thought I'd show this real quick. I unboxed this product review package that I've been working on here. I'm gonna kind of do a, like I said, a whip parade here pretty soon, and it'll include this one, but I was having a lot of fun with this one, and I guess I really liked the design. So when I saw these bookmarks, I thought I'd give it a try. So you can already see right off the bat, one of the things that happens here when you stitch the half cross here with 6 strands, and that's the warping of the fabric. Because this part was just cross stitched, it's kind of bent this way, and the rest is kind of bent over this way. That's why we have this warped look to this, because you have to pull the needle tight with all those 6 strands. You're basically, each hole has 2 versions of the 6 strands there, so 12 strands through that hole. You really have to pull and tug to get it through the needle. So that's maybe one of the downsides, is you have to pull and tug pretty hard with the needle to get the threads through, and that does warp the fabric. So the way to work around that is afterwards you have to block it. And the way you block cross stitch or any stitching is you get it wet with warm water, and then you pin it into the shape that you want and let it dry, and that way it'll be blocked to the correct shape. So this would definitely need to be blocked. So this was only 14 colors. The first one, like I said, went pretty quick and easy. Basic cross stitch with no back stitching or anything like that. And this is what it looks like. Here, let me put it close side by side here so you can see. This is what it looks like as half cross stitch, or tent stitch as we call it in the needlepoint world, with 6 strands of floss. So the end result looks pretty close. There may be slight differences, especially in the makeup of the stitches and kind of the edges here. The edge is a little bit different on one side versus the other because of the slant of the stitch, but overall pretty close. And it uses the same amount of thread because half stitch with 6 strands is just the same as doing a full cross with 3 strands. I would argue it uses even less because I had a fair amount left over when I was done with this, but definitely warped due to pulling. Now, I was holding this in my hand. You may have better results if you do it in a frame, but you can kind of just really see how it's a little bit warped down there. But this will work itself out when you get it warm, and kind of draw the shape you want and pin it down in the proper shape and let it dry. So I thought I'd show you another example, and this is from a product review package that I've done, and I'll show you what I decided to do with this. So this is a Mona Lisa Dragon kit, and I chose the cotton floss instead of the silky floss. But I thought, you know, that background is just going to wear me down because it's a lot of black. So I thought, I wonder what'll happen. Yep, okay, was making sure I had the full pattern there. I wonder what'll happen if I blend the two techniques. So what I thought I'd do with this one, because it is so large, I have done half cross there with the black using 6 strands, and then I'm doing full cross with the other elements in the picture. So as you can get the picture, see here, all of the flowers and the dragon and everything will be full cross, and it's not too much black background, but it is a fair amount in there. So I thought it would go a little bit quicker if I did half cross for the background. So what do you think there of the mix? I think it works out okay, and it will get me through all that blue color. All of this is black, and that'll take a really long time. Now you can see the coverage isn't perfect. You can see little spots there between the stitches, and right now it's blue, but when I wash this when I'm done, it'll be white, but at a distance it looks pretty good. So I think I'm going to go with that and be happy with it. So I thought I'd show you real quick how this works. So I'm going to take a thread here, and I'm going to cut it in half. Now it does go quick to use up a thread, so typically I don't cut the threads in half, but since this is a video, pulling the thread that long just takes longer and is hard to do on camera. So I'm going to cut this thread in half here, but I suggest you use a full strand when you do this, unless it's a small area that you're covering, and my thread just bounced back at me. So one of the most important things to do, especially if you're doing a background or using black especially to cover white, is you want to separate out the 6 strands. And you do this to get smoother, fuller coverage. I could just take a strand and start stitching, but because it's twisted, it's thinner. So as you see here, what I'm doing is I'm pulling each one. I'm just gathering it here and then pulling downward. And I'm pulling out all 6 strands individually. And there's the last one. And now I'm going to dangle them to let them untwist here and smooth them together. And now you can see it's a lot thicker and it's not twisted, which makes it look a lot neater if you're doing this technique there. So now I have 6 strands all separated and all smooth. Then I can put it in the needle. Now this is different from, say, the half cross that is called for in a pattern. If a pattern calls for a half cross, you only use 3 strands. You don't use the 6 strands because this needle is too small, and as you see, it's already bent from pulling hard to get those strands through. So I'm gonna pick a different needle. Here's a good one. So you definitely need a bigger, thicker needle for this technique, although I like them kind of pointy because getting through those holes can be a little bit tricky. So there we go. We got our 6 strands, and I'm just going to go here and tuck underneath some already made threads here. That's how I'm going to secure it. There are various ways to secure it, but I'm old school, so I do it that way. And then I'm just going to stitch here and pull kind of carefully on that first one and just kind of lay it across there. But if a pattern calls for half cross stitch, you use the number of strands that the pattern says, which is usually the same as cross stitch. And that's because those half crosses in a pattern are typically done for more subtle shading in the background. So you only want a few strands. And I guess I could show you an example because I have this one here, my other mountain one. This one has a lot of half cross in it there for the sky to be a lot more subtle. So I'm gonna show that here. It looks kind of funny colors because the ink is still there in the background, so you can kind of see through those stitches. So that's how much I've actually stitched on this, quite a bit there, because half cross does go faster. But this is called for in the pattern to do the half cross. So it is thinner coverage there with only 3 strands. So you got a sneak peek of how that one's going. But in this case, when you're doing the half cross instead of full cross, to replace it, to go through these much faster, then you use 6 strands to get the full coverage there. So if I had some extra black thread, I might even like add another strand and do 7 for the background, but I thought I'd do this with the supplies that came with it. But this is especially useful for those of us who are content creators that have so many cross stitches to get through. I thought I would try to show at least some work on some of these. Now, diamond painting goes a lot faster, so when I do product review packages, I usually do try to do some of the diamond painting for you so you can see how the product works. But for cross stitches, they take a whole lot longer than diamond painting. And so it's harder to do a full review because just one of these could take me months to a year to finish. So this is something I had mentioned in another product review. I had unboxed the kitties and flowers, and I thought that one looked like a good one as well for the half cross technique here, or tent stitch if you prefer that name. So here's what the back looks like. So I'm just going along here on this row with 6 strands, just doing half, and you can see for the background it's covering it pretty well. And another thing that I like to do when I'm doing large areas of background is I stagger the edge here. I've been doing that on purpose so that you don't see a dividing line from going back and forth one direction and then going to the next section and doing it. You can end up with lines across where you ended and started. So I tend to stagger them by doing slightly different numbers of stitches, either a little bit forward or a little bit back, so that you don't end up with a straight line across there. So a lot of stitchers will do diagonals, which is kind of what I was doing here. I think I'll go one beyond for this next row. So I'm not doing the full cross until I have filled in all the half cross around it. So I haven't started the dragon yet. I'm trying to kind of get down toward the dragon here so I can start him, but I only did the full cross over this area because it's all completely surrounded by the half cross. It's just a little easier, I think, to do the full cross there after you've done all the background around it. You certainly don't have to. I just find it a little bit easier. And now for the next row, I'm going back the other direction, as you can see here. So it's pretty easy and just goes a lot faster. The only trouble is the coverage. So there are, I've seen a lot of cross stitchers on floss tube, which is, you can do a search on YouTube for the word floss tube, and you'll see a lot of cross stitchers posting whip parades, as they call it, instead of whip and chats, and talking about mostly counted cross stitch. A lot of the cross stitchers don't do the stamped cross stitch. Maybe when I was younger, I would have thought of it as cheating, but not anymore. I'm older and wiser, and I will take any help I can get. So I have no shame in doing stamped cross stitch here. But anyway, all that to say, I've seen several content creators talk about buying full cones of DMC black. So there are shops that'll sell entire large, like cones, like big, of DMC black, because it is such a common color for all cross stitching, especially if you do like single color stitches and things like that. And by single color stitches, I mean the entire design is done with one color, like black or red. Those have been pretty popular lately. I've seen a couple of those on the stamped cross stitch, and I think there's like an Alice in Wonderland and a couple others. A Halloween one I saw that was just all stitched in one color. So you can buy cones full of it, and I may think about doing that after working on this, because I probably would be just a little bit better off by doing 7 strands of black for this background, since I do see a little bit of that blue showing through. Now the coverage would be better if I did the full cross stitch there, as you can see on that. That's that yellow color, which is actually orange, but because all around both sides, I mean, you're going one way and then the other way, so that entire square is covered, so the ink doesn't show through. So that is kind of another downside of doing this. So it's up to you on the cost loss ratio, as we would say in the business world. So is the speed worth it to you to maybe have that little bit showing, or to have to block it at the end when it's warped? This is actually, these holes are a little bit bigger, it feels like, so this is actually pulling through pretty easily, as opposed to that bookmark where the holes on that Aida were not as big as this. So this is actually nice and smooth and easy with this particular Aida cloth. So I don't feel like I'm having to yank and pull on it at all, which means it's probably not going to warp or change shape or stretch and need blocking at all. So this is just an option. I mentioned it when I did the unboxing of the kitty and flowers, because I thought, you know, that would be a good one for this technique. And one of the things you want to consider is whether there's back stitching or not. So any designs with back stitching, although I guess technically you could do this, I wouldn't do it personally. I think once you're working designs that have back stitching, it's expecting, the pattern is expecting full cross in case you have to do diagonal lines across that with the back stitching, or outlining certain shapes and everything. So thread sticking out. So it's really better for some of those off-brand cross-stitch kits, maybe like the Yishu, the Huakan, the ones that don't have back stitching on them. And Mona Lisa, of course. Mona Lisa is pretty good for not requiring back stitching. They're a little bit simpler patterns here. So I think it goes a little bit faster. And I am enjoying this stitch, I think, because of that, because I feel like I'm making real progress here, and it's not going to take me that long to get to where I can work on the dragon. And I should have plenty of floss to be able to do this. So this is what I meant when I mentioned that, and I may mention that in the future as I do some unboxings as well. When I see a kit that just looks like it might be a good idea for that, I might go ahead and try it, because you do feel like you're getting somewhere a little bit faster. So what do you think of that technique? Is it something you might want to try? Otherwise, if I didn't do that, I'm not sure if I'd ever get this one done. And I really like the colors and the design of it. So again, I'll show you this, and then we'll get to some unboxings here of the difference there. And you can see what you think and see if it's enough of a difference to make you not want to do that, or if it's close enough. Let me zip that first. Or if it's close enough and you think it might be worthwhile to try. Okay, so that was the tutorial part. Now I thought I'd do some unboxing here, because some of these I haven't opened. I've had them sitting for a while, but I want to decide what to bring with me on the trip. And there's a couple in here that I might consider. So I thought I'd start by looking at a couple of these bookmark kits. Here, these I got on Amazon. And I've already worked on a flower kit just like it. So I thought I'd see what these other ones were. So this is a space pattern here. And they come kind of double packaged there. But these, the floss comes in skeins. But as you can see, even though they're wrapped in skeins, a lot of them have pre-cut lengths. Some do, some don't. I noticed in the flowers some of them did, like that red one does. This one, however, is not pre-cut. So sometimes they are. And it could be related to the number of strands, or the number of strands that you need. So they may throw full skeins in there unless you only need like half a skein's worth, in which case they're cut. So all of these, oh, there's another one. Okay, so this one is cut. It does come with little scissors, but these are not very sharp. They may work a couple times, maybe cut 3 or 4 threads, but I wouldn't recommend those scissors. And these kits come with lots and lots of needles there and a little needle threader. So this is more like a sewing type needle threader instead of the metallic ones that come in other kits. It has that little tiny thin wire there. Not sure you can see that very well. But if you've never used a needle threader, it's pretty straightforward. You just push it through, which I'm going to have to put my cheaters on to see the right area there. So you push it through the needle, put your thread through the hole, and then pull it back through, and voila. I don't use needle threaders very often. I do for some beading needles, and these are better than the ones that come with the kits for doing beading needles, because that wire is much thinner, so it's easier to get them through the tiny holes. So that's the little tool kit. And then these bookmarks come with backing here. So this is sticky on one side here. You peel the backing off, the sticky backing, and put the Aida cloth on there when it's done. And it's kind of felted on the other side. So shiny side is the sticker part, and then the back. So there are 6 in the kit. These are what they look like here. And this is really, really thick Aida, and because of the paint or the ink on there, it makes it feel really stiff and sturdy. And even though these are cut very close to the edge, I did not have my other one. It did not come undone at all. So these are starched nice and stiff, so real easy to stitch in hand. Those are all the designs here, and it doesn't really come with a true chart. What it comes with, you have some instructions here, is a color key here with the DMC colors, and just little arrows showing what is what. But since these colors are so different from each other, there aren't really any that are close to each other. So these are true to color on there, so it is pretty easy to tell which color goes where. So that's my first little bookmark kit. I do like these. They have a ton of designs on Amazon right now. So lots to choose from. Kitties, books, dragons, lots of plants and flowers, all sorts of neat designs, and they are quite affordable. So there's some bookmarks, and these would be more candidates for doing the half cross with 6 strands. So here's 3 more. The only concern I might have is that if you do warp that fabric, I don't know. I'll have to try one and see, because I don't think that ink washes out. I haven't tried, but because it is the same color as the thread underneath it, this one's really stuck in there. I'm gonna have to cut this one, but because it is the thread color underneath it, it doesn't matter if it washes out or not. And actually, with me open this and then talk. With those space designs, with that black background, I'm not sure I'd want to wash it and turn it into white fabric. So there's the covers. So I think with that dark background there, I might just leave them as is. Just finish them and be done with them. Maybe trim the edge a little bit more, which you will do once you stick this on, because you can see the blue lines there, the blue cutting lines. This one gets pretty close to the edge there, so might have to be careful. Oops, let's get in the frame there. Might have to be careful on this one. But yeah, with the leaving that dark background there, might be a good idea. So these are more mountain, forest, nighttime scenes. That one's going to be really dark. So those are kind of cute. So I think these would be good candidates for the half cross idea. Okay, so I'll pack these up later. So what's next? This is one that I bought on, I believe this actually came from Temu, although maybe not. I've seen it on several different sites. This is Needle Kung Fu is the company. That's the NKF there, which is the same parent company that makes Joy Sunday. So it says thicken version. Wonder what that means. But we have a cute little butterfly with tassels hanging off of it here. It does have the instructions on the back, and I think I'm going to zoom out a little bit now that we've done the tutorial and we're going to unboxing mode here. So let's see what a Needle Kung Fu kit looks like. We have the pattern, we have the fabric, we have the floss as usual, and then we have the picture on the front. So same thing here, and this chart looks just slightly different. It's more horizontal rather than vertical, but we can see 46 colors there, and then 6 colors of backstitch. And this is 217 stitches wide by high, so it is a perfect square. And this one I got was the 11 count, which is a 60 by 60 centimeter. So just a little look at how the paper is that the pattern is printed on. I'm curious how much backstitch. It shows 6 colors of backstitch, so there is indeed a fair amount in the wings there of the butterfly. You can see it there. So this one I would not do the 6 strand trick. I would stitch this as regular cross stitch. So just like Joy Sunday, you get the 2 needles stapled to the floss cards, and they even look the same as Joy Sunday floss cards there. So we have 46 colors here. These are the last 6, or more than 6 here, there, but these are the end here, the later DMC colors. And then we're going backwards here. I guess it's only 2. And then here's the rest, lots of blues and yellows and greens, and I like to kind of do the twist to show all the colors blended together there. And it's a pretty big canvas here, wow. Because it's 11 count, it's going to be pretty large. So here we go, and it is printed very dark. So it's not bleeding over to the back, but that is very, very bright colors, very dark printing on this, a lot of solid colors in various areas. But it looks very clear here. Pretty easy to see, and then we have the key all the way around the edges there with all the symbols on them. And let's see, I didn't check and I don't see it here. This key is only for the paper pattern. Ah, there we go. Okay, so yes, we do have a key here for the canvas, it looks like. So I'm guessing that yellow is number 1, which matches down here. Yes, indeed. So we also have printed on here the printing that shows up on the Aida cloth, so that way if you cover this up with a hoop or something, you can follow this chart and compare it to this. Now I am kind of curious about these. It shows some half stitch here, and I'm curious what these symbols, do they really look like that? Because I don't see any. So I'm kind of curious where the half cross, that's all says full stitch all the way around, and back stitch. I actually don't see any half stitch, so I find this odd. Maybe because I'm pretty sure that says full stitch, and it goes all the way across here to the end, and then this says full stitch all the way up there, and then we have back stitch. I don't see any half cross, and I don't see any symbols that look like that. So that's a bit odd. Interesting. I'll have to check further into that, because looking at the pattern, I don't see that as well. So, kind of odd. I've never seen that before. So we're going to go ahead and put this one away and move on to the next. So I don't think I'll bring this one with me on the trip, but I was kind of curious how it looks. So put that on top and move on. Another one that I was really curious that I never opened was this one, because this is a turtle design, but this is a pillowcase. So I'm curious how a pillowcase kit looks. So we'll take a quick peek here. At least I thought this was a pillowcase. Nope, I guess not. Okay, never mind. I know I have a turtle pillowcase somewhere. I thought this was the one, but maybe not. But this one comes with a slightly different branded card than what I've seen before. Lots and lots of white here, because it looks like the background is stitched. So really teeny tiny pattern here. So even though this isn't in a pre-made pillowcase, I think I could do it as a pillowcase. So we got a bigger picture there. This is 35 colors. This pattern is not waterproof. The ink will run if you get it wet, so you don't want to get that wet. But we have a couple needles here, but no toolkit really. This one's a pretty cheap one. I'm not sure. SZX. Not sure which brand it is here. But there's the canvas. So this one might be a candidate for the half cross trick because there's a lot of white in the background here, especially for the background. The half cross I think would work great because since it's light colored, once you wash the ink away, you won't see any gapping or anything. So I think this would be a good candidate for that. So maybe do full cross for the design, but all the background here do as half cross. It looks like the background blends like 3 or 4 different colors there, but they're all very light colors. Here, as you can see, there's that one, that one, that one. I'm guessing maybe this one and that all look like they would be filling in the background there. So that could be a quick stitch if you do the background in half cross like that over 6, or using 6, not over 6. So I'll put that back later. This one I was curious about. This is a Mona Lisa kit, I believe, and there's a set of 4 of these. I only picked one, but I thought it would be that color fabric there. I have a couple others that have that oatmeal colored Aida cloth that I really enjoy because I like to see that white up against that oatmeal color. But this is white Aida that came with it here. So I think Spring Brand may also do these, in which case theirs probably would be the oatmeal fabric. But we'll take a look. So I think I didn't open this the first time because I was a little bit disappointed when I saw the white fabric. So this is indeed Mona Lisa. This is a sticker here, if you want to use it for a log sheet. We've got the instructions. And we have the pattern, the threads, and our little toolkit here. And yes, you have to stitch all the background. Whew. That might be another candidate. Wow, didn't realize I was pulling so many candidates for that half cross with 6 trick. Because yeah, look at all that background that has to be stitched in this color. I'm not sure, honestly, that I would even bother. I might just go online and buy a hunk of oatmeal colored Aida cloth and rethink this one and just do the items in the foreground and let the cloth be the color. But the downside of that is that it would turn it into a counted cross stitch kit, because the beauty of stamped cross stitch is you don't have to count, you just follow along. So here it is. It's not that big, 152 stitches by 225 stitches. It is 11 count here. So, I don't know. It's not quite the same color, but I think it's necessary because part of the whole design on this one is that, you get it here, is that background up against those white flowers. So, something to think about there. This is a little bit brighter color, but pretty close. But, yeah, maybe this would also be a candidate to do the background like that. Interesting that so many of these are coming out that way. I don't think I'll take this one with me, though. I think I will think on it. So, we'll put that there. Let's take a look at this one, because this is a Spring Brand one. And I thought this one was really neat. It's a really pretty beach scene, but this one is unfortunately only available in 16 count. And I've never tried a 16 count, and my eyesight is a little bit better than it was since I have the implants going right now. So, I don't know. Let's see what it looks like here. we've got some really pretty colors up. We got a whole card for one strand of one color there. So it must be 31 colors. That's funny. So spring is a little bit better quality. Whew, excuse me, I'm tired. Spring brand is a little bit better quality. So we have the chart here. And this one looks like full stitch. Here we have 27 colors. And then we have some blended full stitch here. Lots of blended colors. So 2 rows here. I'm not going to count them all. 270 by 164 stitches. Again, there's the picture. And let's look at the floss colors here. So can feel that that's the Egyptian cotton. Definitely feels a little bit different, and you can tell the ends are a little bit different. It's treated cotton. It just feels a little bit stiffer and less fuzzy. So the strands are a little bit stronger. So let's twist it there and see all the pretty colors. So we got lots of blues and oranges, definitely sunset type colors, and we have 2 needles there. And this poor one strand there, I might just cut that one so that I can use the rest of the card maybe for something else and get it out of the way. So let's check out this fabric here and see what a 16 count looks like. Oh boy. So it's really not that big because the squares are so tiny. Look at how tiny those 10 by 10 grids are. That's little bitty. Yes, there we go, where you can see it. And so we have it, the spring label here. We have the full cross here, indicated by the X there. And then these are all the blended ones down here. So you do 1 strand of each. So even though this is 16 count instead of 14, it's 2 strands, same as 14. And I don't believe there was any back stitch on this. I do not see any, which is cool. So if you were to try that trick on this one, which I wouldn't because of all the blended colors, you would basically double what you would normally use. So it would be 4 strands. If you were to do just the half cross to fill this in, it would go faster. I don't know, maybe it would look okay. So that's that one. That looks like a good candidate for the trip, actually. It already has its own project bag, and it is a little bit smaller, but I don't know, my eyes might get tired. So we'll see about that. Let's do another one of these. This is one of the more cheaper brands. You can already tell we've got floss drops here. This is a Lord of the Rings pattern, but I don't think it's going to make the cut for the trip because it's a lot bigger than I thought. So we have a stained glass window pattern here. There's the Eye of Sauron there, and there's well, it looks like maybe Gandalf because he's wearing white, or it could be Saruman. We've got maybe a hobbit hole there. So trying to show the Lord of the Rings story here. And the chart is quite large. There are 46 colors, so even though this is one of the budget-friendly ones, it is Yishu because it's got the little Y on here. So they tend to have more colors. So that was nice to see. 46 colors. Let's see what this canvas looks like here. Yeah, it's pretty big. And we'll start at the bottom and move our way up It doesn't look too difficult though. I think the stained glass would be pretty. I'm just not sure that it is kind of pixelated, so it may be kind of hard to tell what's what on it. So I don't know. I may send this one to my sister. She's an even bigger Lord of the Rings fan than I am. So she may have more fun with this one. So I won't even open the floss there. You can see the different colors. We have a couple more here. Oh, look at this one. Because this is a Temu one. So I'm curious how a Temu cross-stitch kit looks. So this one is birds and flowers with, again, that black background, which seems to be something that I'm drawn to there. And it does come in a Ziploc bag here. Kind of hard to open there. So there's the picture. This one has the floss that comes in these little bobbins inside a bag. This is pretty thin paper. It's not the shiny back paper. This is really, really thin paper for a pattern. And this one only has 25 colors, but looking at the design, it's more of a tapestry design, so 25 colors. Not too bad for what it is there. And this is 14 count. I can already tell the smaller squares there, but it's still pretty large. This one has the needles stapled on here. So, nope, that's upside down. So it is quite large for a 14 count. Let's see. It says it's 40 by 70. But this one also has that black background and quite a bit of it. So this one might be another candidate, again, for doing at least the background as half cross. But with 14 count, again, you would double the number normally used, so you'd use 4 strands instead of 6. But maybe for that dark background, you might add an extra strand. Although it would get pretty tough to get the needle through those little bitty holes there. So 4 strands would probably be good. So we got lots of birds here and lots of flowers. Looks like it's a pretty easy to read canvas, but since this is a Temu one, I know it was really cheap. So, not sure if that one's going to make the trip either. So even though it's 14 count, that is a pretty large piece of canvas to have in my lap while sitting in the car. So I've got one more here. So far, I think the Spring brand is the only one that's going to make it. This is a Needle Kung Fu. There are several of these in the set. They have some beer and wine and various alcohol ones. This is the pickle one. So I love pickles. So there's, hopefully the glare isn't too bad there. There's a design. So various types of pickles and veggies and pickled peppers there. And you can find the entire, let me get that out of the bag first. You can find the entire set of these on AliExpress through various companies. And you can find a few of them, I think, on some of the other companies I've reviewed. But I know you can get all of them on AliExpress because that's where I got this one from. So we have the pattern here. Let's see, and again, Needle Kung Fu, Joy Sunday. You know, same thing. Yep, that's it. That's all of the colors there. Okay. It's actually quite a few, though. There's 51 colors. Oh, there we go. 57. I can't read. So 57 colors, and it looks like 6 different colors of backstitch on here. Not a ton of backstitch. It looks like it's just highlighting a few of the items. There, those flowers there have some backstitch. So not a ton of backstitch, a little bit here and there. So Let's see what we got here. Lots and lots of floss. Wow, that is a lot of floss here. So we have 3 cards here. And interesting, let's see if I see that correctly. It looks like there are no extra things of floss because I think they used more than one sometimes. Like here, color 38, they put them on more than one little hole there instead of giving you the extra skeins outside of the cards. So everything is mounted on the cards. So we have our needles stapled here. And is this also looks like 14 count? Yes, 14 count. So let's take a look at this. It's pretty big even for 14 count. So here it is. And as I've mentioned with Joy Sunday, they do try to print the back stitching on the canvas there, but you're going to cover it up with the stitching, so I'm not sure why they do that, because sometimes it makes some of the symbols underneath harder to read. But this looks pretty well printed here. Maybe slight blur on that one, or maybe not. I can still see it pretty clearly. So it's actually a bright, colorful canvas there, especially with the bricks. And the bricks are, the real color is, well, kind of an off-white tannish color, grayish color there. So all kinds of vegetables is what this one is called. 377 stitches wide by 158 high, and this is 76 inches by 36 inches, so not too bad there. Or no, that's got to be centimeters. There's no way that's 36 inches. Yes, 76 centimeters by 36 centimeters. That makes a lot more sense. I was like, 36 inches is a foot. That can't be right. So looks like actually a pretty easy stitch because there's little groups everywhere. I don't see any confetti or single stitches anywhere. That looks like some fun. And we already kind of looked at the colors here. Can do the twist there. Kind of lots of fall colors, but still some other bright colors there with the purples and the grays. So that's what I have here. And I think that the only ones that I see myself maybe being able to do well on the trip easily is this one, my ocean one, and maybe one of the bookmark sets. And I can try out one of these bookmarks with the 6-strand half stitch and see how these come out and let you know. So I think that's our game plan. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.